Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, taking a look at the first college football game of 2021. Hopefully a better year for all of us. We've got the Peach Bowl between number 9 Georgia and number 8 Cincinnati. By far one of the most intriguing bowl matchups of this entire postseason. We've got a hot Georgia team, one that finished the season strong, a team that nobody wants to face right now, going up against a Cincinnati team that was wildly disrespected by the College Football Playoff Committee, the highest ranked Group of 5 conference champion, undefeated out of the American Athletic Conference, looking to make a statement, looking to prove the committee wrong and showing that they deserve to be in that Final Four. So we got a lot to cover here, guys. We got a lot to cover here. The offense, the defense, the keys to the game. Can Cincinnati pull off the upset? They're only 7-point favorites going into this game. Can they pull off the upset and finish the year 10-0? Let's start on the offensive side of the ball, guys. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the analysis, looking at the personnel and the numbers. And I want to start with Georgia. I want to start with the Bulldogs out of the SEC. We said they're hot right now. We said they're a team that nobody wants to face right now. And that is because they have a guy named JT Daniels under center playing quarterback. You can't help but imagine what would have happened, what this season would have been like for Georgia had JT Daniels been playing from the start, if he had started every single game. Because this Georgia offense is different with him. Daniels has thrown for 839 yards, 9 touchdowns, just 1 interception in his 3 starts so far this season. The Bulldogs won their last 2 games against Missouri and South Carolina by a combined score of 94-30. They're starting to click. They're starting to figure things out offensively. Say what you want. Oh, their final 3 opponents, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Missouri, they weren't that good. I don't care. Missouri was a top 25 team when Georgia beat them. They beat them by 35. The Bulldogs are averaging 33.2 points per game, and they're very balanced. 232.8 passing yards per game, 188.6 rushing yards per game, led by Zamir White, who has 740 yards and 10 touchdowns on the year. And again, we said Georgia is starting to kind of come together offensively, and I think that's been very evident from their last 2 games, where they murdered South Carolina and they murdered Missouri. The run game has come together, 332 rushing yards against South Carolina, 316 rushing yards versus Missouri. JT Daniels had 299 passing yards against Missouri. Todd Monken is figuring things out down in Athens. And with Daniels at the helm next year, this is a team that absolutely will be a national title favorite in 2021. You look at Cincinnati. Look at their offense and what we're dealing with here. Their key to this entire game is Desmond Ridder. Cincinnati goes as Desmond Ridder goes. He is the key to Cincinnati's offense. He has over 2,000 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions, and his dual threat ability has started to become more of a factor over the last few weeks. He's rushed for over 600 yards this season, 12 touchdowns on the year on the ground. He's rushed for over 57 rushing yards in his last 4 games. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but for a quarterback, that's pretty dang good. And his ability to escape the pocket, to extend plays, and obviously something that Georgia has to watch out for. They can't just assume Ridder's going to drop back and pass every time. So that extra factor to his game is going to be something that Georgia could struggle with a little bit. Something that Georgia has to be prepared for, and something that gives Cincinnati a little bit of an edge offensively, or an extra edge offensively. The Bearcats are averaging 242.2 passing yards per game. They're averaging 225 rushing yards per game, so about as balanced as you can get, really, offensively. And the Bearcats have scored at least 24 points in every single game this season. So this offense can hang with a lot of people, guys. They can put up the points. The defense can hold their opponents to some low margins, and the offense can capitalize off of that. This Bearcats team, to me, can play with anybody out there. Georgia is no exception. You look at the defense, guys. The biggest question to me is, can Cincinnati move against this Georgia defense? We said they can play with anybody. I do believe that. But again, if Georgia finds a way to slow down Desmond Ridder, forcing him into a lot of mistakes or make him a non-factor, Cincinnati's offense will be a non-factor, and the Bulldogs will run away with this game. Georgia, as we know, year in and year out under Kirby Smart, has had one of the top defenses in the country. And again, that's no exception in 2020, a 2020 season that to many has been a disappointment for the Bulldogs. But they're allowing just 19.9 points per game. And the key number for me, without a doubt, is the running game. Georgia is allowing just 69.3 rushing yards per game. They're allowing under 70 rushing yards per game. Cincinnati's averaging 225 rushing yards per game. Georgia has allowed 100 rushing yards. Not a 100-yard rusher, 100 rushing yards total just 2 times this season. One of those was against Alabama, understandable. The other was against Kentucky. The Bulldogs did not play well in that game, but still won 14-3. Georgia is allowing 253.4 passing yards per game. So to me, Desmond Ridder for Cincinnati is going to have to win this game through the air. You're not going to see Jared Dokes win this game on the ground for Cincinnati. You're not going to see Desmond Ridder win this game on the ground for Cincinnati. If Cincinnati wants to win, they're going to have to win it through the air. And that's going to be a little bit easier for them, or at least they're going to have a little bit of help there, as Georgia will be without their cornerback, Eric Stokes, and will be without their star linebacker, Monty Rice, both opting out of this Peach Bowl in preparation for the NFL Draft. So that's going to give Desmond Ridder an extra edge there, the Cincinnati offense an extra edge there. And I do question whether or not Georgia could and will be prepared for a dual-threat quarterback, because they haven't seen a dual-threat quarterback really this season. What would be the closest? Bo Nix at Auburn? Joey Gatewood at Kentucky? Neither of those have the dual-threat ability that Desmond Ridder has. And I'm not even putting him up there as one of the best dual threats in the country. But he's better than Nix, and he's better than Gatewood when it comes to that. So Georgia has to be prepared, again, for that extra level of talent and the extra threat that Desmond Ridder will pose on the offensive side of the ball for the Bearcats. You look at Cincinnati. Their defense, also one of the best in the entire country this year. They're allowing just 16 points per game. It's fantastic. They're allowing 310.8 yards per game, allowing 192.3 passing yards per game, 118.4 rushing yards per game. And I'll tell you right there, that rushing yard number, again, is another key here. The problem is Georgia is extremely balanced. So you want to take away the run game, you want to take away Zamir White, that's fine. They've got JT Daniels, can light you up through the air. You take away Daniels, when you've got a running game that's had over 300 yards in their last 2 games, that can make up for that. So that's the key here. Cincinnati's kind of turning in one of their best, if not the best, defensive performance of the year to win this game. But I do think Cincinnati can do a decent job of shutting down the Georgia run game. I don't think Georgia's going to go out there and rush for 300 yards like they did against South Carolina, like they did against Missouri. I think Cincinnati can contain that running game just a little bit. It's the passing game that concerns me the most for the Bearcats. It's the passing game led by JT Daniels that concerns me the most for Luke Fickell's squad. You look at the Bearcats, again, they're undefeated. They're undefeated, but let's look at the passing numbers against some quality quarterbacks this year. They allowed 215 yards, passing yards, to Shane Buechele at SMU. They allowed 316 yards to Memphis and Brady White. 189 passing yards to Clayton Tune at Houston. 243 passing yards to Dylan Gabriel at Central Florida. Cincinnati, yes, won all of those games. Won most of those games. 3 of those 4, really, in dominating fashion. Still a handful of yards of the air they were allowing. And I think JT Daniels can eclipse all of those. I do think he can go for 300 yards in this game. But the Bearcats do have a strong secondary, at least when it comes to turnovers. They have forced 15 interceptions this year. They've forced 19 turnovers on the year. So go ahead and let up a bunch of yards. But if we can force a few turnovers along the way, if our offense can convert when we get the ball, it's really not going to matter. If this game turns into a shootout, it's going to be fine. Cincinnati can hang in one. So the running game doesn't concern me as much for Cincinnati as the passing game does, and that's going to be a major key in this game as to whether or not the Bearcats want to pull off the upset despite being the slightly higher-ranked team. So let's take a look at the keys to the game, guys. Again, this is the Peach Bowl. It is a New Year's 6 bowl game. Georgia, of course, has become a perennial New Year's Six Bowl team, made the national championship just a few years ago, made the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago. You look at this game here, guys, another New Year's Six Bowl game where people are going to question, Georgia's motivation. And I think they learned their lesson from that 2 years ago. They lost the Sugar Bowl to Texas, went back to the Sugar Bowl last year and played Baylor and beat the Bears. Beat the Bears by double digits. Motivation will no longer be a factor for the Bulldogs. They're going to go out there, they want to win, and I think they've heard a lot of, Cincinnati, they deserve to be in the playoff. They're going to pull off an upset. They've heard a lot of that, and they're looking to make a statement themselves. The first key to the game for the Bulldogs here, guys, is to maintain balance. Maintain balance. Cincinnati, of course, is going to try to take it away with their stingy defense that's allowing just a little over 300 yards per game. Not really that bad at all. So Georgia needs to find a way to maintain balance. Again, we said Cincinnati can take away the run. That's fine. Georgia's got JT Daniels. You want to take away the pass? That's fine. Georgia's got Zamir White. Georgia's got so much offensive talent now that's starting to come together that you take one away, the other can certainly pick up the slack. But you don't want to make yourself one-dimensional. You don't want to make yourself one-dimensional. You don't want to put the entire game on JT Daniels' hands like they did against Mississippi State. Georgia had no running game whatsoever against the Bulldogs. And JT Daniels had to do everything in that game. And against a bad Mississippi State team, the Bulldogs at home only won by 7, 31-24. You can't have that here against Cincinnati, because if that happens, the Bearcats are going to win. So maintain the balance. Have JT Daniels throw for at least 200 yards, 250 yards. You eclipse 150 rushing yards in this game, you're good. I think you're going to be all right. Second thing Georgia needs to do, show that SEC dominance early. And you might ask, what does that mean? What does showing SEC dominance mean? Look, the misconception and the general stereotype here is that the SEC and the Power 5 is and always will be better than the Group of 5. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree that they're always better than the Group of 5. But there is something to be said for a talent gap. There is something to be said for a size gap, a speed gap, the recruiting edge that Power 5 teams maybe have that Group of 5 teams don't. Georgia has an opportunity to go out there now early in this game, pop Cincinnati in the mouth and say, you're in the big leagues. You want to be in the playoff? Well, guess what? You're not there. You're in the Peach Bowl. You're playing us. You're playing the Georgia Bulldogs. So go out there, pop them in the mouth early, and show Cincinnati you're not playing American athletic teams anymore. You're not playing Central Florida. You're not playing Memphis. You're playing Georgia out of the SEC. Go out there, show SEC dominance early, and wake them up. Wake Cincinnati up. Realize, all right, we're going to be in a dogfight, a literal dogfight here. This is a dang good team. Cincinnati. What are their keys? First one is force Georgia to run. Force Georgia to run. So you've got to shut down JT Daniels. Again, they have forced 15 interceptions. So if you can get an interception or two off of JT Daniels and turn those into points, you're going to be looking really good. Luke Fickell's squad's going to be in this game. They're going to be in it from start to finish, and that's going to be a major reason why, is if they can force some turnovers. But if you force Georgia to run, that running game and that running defense for the Bearcats has been very stingy all year long. And I don't, again, think that Georgia is going to rush for 300 yards. I'd be surprised if they eclipse 200 yards in this game. So force them to run, make them one-dimensional, make JT Daniels struggle a little bit in the pocket. The more pressure on him, the better, and the better chance you have to win. The second thing that Cincinnati has to do, and really the last thing, is air it out. If I'm Cincinnati again, what do we have to lose? We're undefeated. Yeah, we want to finish the season undefeated. We want this win, so you got to do everything in your power to win this game. And I'm looking at this, guys. Georgia's down a few key defensive starters. Georgia has one of the best rushing defenses in the country. You're probably not going to find much success on the ground. So air it out with Desmond Ridder, a guy who is more than likely playing his final game as a Cincinnati Bearcat. Air it out with him. Go out there, have the game of your life, and just see if you can get a win. Again, you're not expected to win, even though you're only 7-point underdog. That's actually a little low in my eyes. You're not expected to win. Everybody has disrespected you. So go out there, pull out all the stops, and just go. Air it out. Air it out, because honestly, that's how you win this game. You're not going to be balanced in this game. Right from the start, I think Cincinnati is one-dimensional, because I don't think they're going to be able to run against Georgia. So right from the start, they're going to have to get creative. they're going to have to throw, and Desmond Ridder's going to have a game of his life to beat Georgia. Air it out early, air it out often. Don't be afraid to take some shots deep and see if they work out for you. See if you can't get the ball in the end zone and hang in this game for a full 60 minutes. So this is going to be a heck of a game, guys. Again, a lot of people, I've got Georgia in this game. A lot of people don't expect much from Cincinnati. And I will say this. I think if you're disrespecting Cincinnati still, if you think Cincinnati's going to show up and lay an egg, I think you're going to be wrong. I don't think this is going to be an absolute blowout. But I do think it's going to be a comfortable win for Georgia. I think Cincinnati fights very valiantly in this one. I think they fight valiantly, and I think they do show that, yeah, maybe they weren't playoff caliber, maybe they weren't top 4 caliber, but they're worthy of this number 8 spot. They were disrespected. They deserve all the credit that they've been getting, whatever little it is. Cincinnati's going to give them a fight, but Georgia ultimately is going to be too much. I think the Bulldogs win this game by at least 10 points. We said it. They're one of those teams right now that you do not want to play. Them and Oklahoma, even though we're picking the Gators to beat Oklahoma, them and Oklahoma are the 2 teams that you just don't want to see out on the field right now. And I do think that Georgia gets this win. Say what you want. Oh, their last 3 opponents have been easy. JT Daniels has had cupcake teams, and that's why his stats are so good. I'm not buying it. I think if this guy had been starting from week 1, Georgia would be in the college football playoff right now. Cincinnati's defense can only keep up in this one for so long. Georgia's defense shuts them down, makes Cincinnati one-dimensional, creates enough pressure on Desmond Ridder, forces enough mistakes out of him. His dual threat ability is practically non-existent in this game, and Georgia wins by at least 10 down in Atlanta, carries a lot of momentum into 2021. Again, a year where they will be a national title favorite as long as Daniels is at the helm. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And check out everything down in that description below. We have got some Gridiron Expert merchandise. We have exclusive content on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Against the spread picks for every single bowl game, our newsletter that comes out weekly, over on our website, the Patreon account, the BetNow promo code, and discounts that you do not want to miss. All those things down in the description. Make sure to go check it out. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.